they call Esperanto. Over it, there did not indeed then arise among them even their usual squabbles, which they characterize with the words foaming at the mouth. They themselves, with all the bobtailedness of their reason, immediately reflected that this language could not now in any way be useful for their purpose. The inventors of this language must have imagined that a language is like one of their contemporary sciences, which can be cooked up at home at one's study. Indeed, it never entered into their heads that every more or less practical language can be formed only in the course of many centuries, and even then only during the process of more or less normal being existence. This new invention there, this language Esperanto, might, however, do for our highly esteemed Mullah Nasr ad-Din for composing the amusing anecdotes he tells his hens. In short, this promising beginning of theirs in this business of establishing one common planetary language changed nothing there in their height of absurdity, and everything remained as before, down till now. That is, this comparatively petty planet, with a petty half-dead terra firma, continues to remain, as again our dear teacher Mullah Nasr ad-Din says, a thousand-tongued hydra. Well, my boy, when I commenced my investigation in regard this time to the fundamental aim I had set myself, in order to become assuredly aware of all the causes which produced such a peculiar psyche in the presences of the three-brained beings of the planet pleasing to you, and when therefore it soon became necessary for me to make clear certain of what are called hidden details in the common presence of the psyche of theirs, there unexpectedly arose for me, just at the beginning of this last personal stay of mine among them, a very serious difficulty consisting in this, that the bringing to light of these properties hidden within them, namely the properties found in their subconsciousness, turned out to be possible exclusively only with the intentional help on the part of them themselves. That is, with the help of that consciousness of theirs, which with the flow of time had become proper to be possessed by them during their waking state. Furthermore, I made clear to myself that it was necessary that this said voluntary help should come from the three-brained beings there of all the types of which in general during recent times they had begun to be completely formed. But meanwhile, by this time, as it proved, there had already been almost atrophied in them every kind of data for the arising in their presences of the being impulse called sincerity, and it was atrophied to such a degree that they no longer had the possibility, even if they wished, to be sincere, and not only with other beings, but even with their own selves. That is, they already could not, with one of their spiritualized parts, criticize and judge another part of themselves impartially. It must be said here that my subsequent special researches revealed to me that the causes of the atrophying of the data, which should be in them also, for the possibility of being sincere with themselves, had one basis, while the causes of the atrophying of the possibilities of being sincere with others had another. The basis for the atrophying of the first of the mentioned data is derived from the fact of the disturbance of the coordination of their common psyche. The point is that then, at the beginning of this sixth existence of mine among them, on the one hand, in their general presences, data yet continued always to be crystallized for the arising in them, as in all three-brained beings in general, of the being impulse called self-remorse, and which they themselves call remorse of conscience. While on the other hand, every kind of their inner and outer manifestations in the ordinary process of their being existence began to become always less and less becoming to three-brained beings. Consequently, in their presences there arise more and more frequently the causes for the manifestation of the said being impulse of remorse of conscience. And as the sensations thereby induced, which are similar to those which arise from being participant of duty, infallibly lead to the suppression and the enslaving of the denying principle inherent in the common presences of the three-brained beings, called self-calming, then in them, during every kind of inner and outer manifestation of their common presences, which flow from the natural stimuli of one or another separately, independently spiritualized localizations, proper to be present in the three-centered beings, each time, with the arising of this sensation of self-remorse, disagreeable to them, at first intentionally on the part of their ruminating parts, and later, thanks already to the habit which they had created, there began to be stifled and gradually to cease self-criticism. And so by reason of this impotency arising and always increasing in their organization, which involved by constant repetition the whole disharmony of all the functioning of their psyche, there gradually almost disappeared from their common presences such data also infallibly inherent in every three-brained being of all of our great universe for manifesting sincerity even towards themselves. As basis for the disappearance from their common presence of data for ableness to be sincere with other beings similar to themselves, there served just that abnormal form of their mutual relationship long before established there, which, as I've already told you, was based on their mutual division into different what are called castes and classes. When there began among them, and soon became inevitable, the habit of allocating one or another to these various maleficent castes of theirs, then from that time, in the common presence of each one of them, there were gradually crystallized two particular, quite opposite, what are called organic properties, the manifestation of which, little by little, even ceased to depend on either their ordinary consciousness or on their subconsciousness. These two properties consist in this, that they always behave toward each other, either, so to say, haughtily or servilely. During the manifestation of both these properties, there are paralyzed in them all relations on what are called equal terms, with anybody whomsoever, thanks to which not only the inner sincere, but also even the outer ordinary habitual relations have become established among them in such a way that already it has become quite usual, particularly in recent times, that if someone belongs to a caste considered higher than the caste of another, then in everything and always in relation to this other, there arise in him impulses called there either haughtiness or contempt or patronage or condescension, and so on. And if somebody considers his own caste lower than that of another, then there will infallibly arise in him impulses which they call self-abasement, false humility, sycophancy, bootlicking, cringing, and many other such specific impulses, the totality of which constantly corrodes in their presences what is called awareness of one's own individuality, which ought to be present in them also. The said property, which already became inherent in their common presences, gradually led to this, that they lost the habit and automatically ceased to be able to be sincere with other beings similar to themselves, even with those belonging to their own caste.